radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network.
All right, welcome. How you doing? Fade to Black. That's right. How you doing? How you doing? It's Monday, September 8th, 2025. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Yeah, let's do this, man. So earlier today, I was at the dentist office and didn't do the live breaking news. Didn't have a chance to post it. There was going to be no breaking news. I got a panicked email from Renee. What's going on? And I was in the dentist chair, but I'm okay. Numbness has worn off. And I am here. So let's do this. All right. We're kicking off another week here on Fade to Black. And this week is a short week. There will be no show on Thursday because I'm going to be off taping some more episodes of Beyond Belief. Yeah, I'm doing that for you, kids. All right. But tonight, Captain Leo Walton is here. We're going to be talking about ancient pyramid technology and a bunch of other subjects, too, that fall into and underneath that category. Tomorrow night, Colton Scrivener, PhD, is with us. We're going to be talking about tomorrow night. Why do we crave the creepy? Yeah, the scary. Why do we do this? This is what we're going to talk about tomorrow night. And then Wednesday night, check this out. I know this seems strange. First time he's been on the show. And I don't know why. Ryan Bledsoe is here. And I've called the show the Bledsoe Family because that's what we're going to be talking about. His paranormal and supernatural and ET and alien contact experiences. And his own take on it, plus his family and what is going on out there and what they have gone through and experienced. So all of that, big show on Wednesday night, big show every night this week. And then, of course, Thursday night, no show. We are off air. Yeah, I wish I could say I was taking a break, but no, I'm up early in the morning on a plane doing my thing, and I'll be back just in time to work this weekend, right? And get ready for Fade to Black next week. And I do have 6 events coming up, and all of these are in 2026. Conscious Life Expo, February 20th through the 23rd at the LAX Hilton. Then I've got the Contact Modalities Expo, May 1st through the 3rd in Delavan, Wisconsin at Delavan Lake. Then I've got Contact in the Desert, May 28th through June 1st. Tickets available on Thanksgiving Day. Then I go south for the Peru Inca Celebration of the Sun with Brian Forrester. That is June 23rd through July 1st, 2026. Come back from that, head over to the UK for the Monty Python Tour of Scotland. And that is August 1st through the 9th of 2026. That's a game changer for me. We're going to all of the set locations and all of the castles and everything else from Monty Python and the Holy Grail. And I got to tell you, if you want to do a tour, that's the tour right there, man. So come and join us over in Scotland. I come back from that and head back to Peru and Easter Island, and that is November 2026. All right. So that sets the stage. Here we go for another week on Fade to Black tonight. Captain Leo Walton is here. And now here's the thing. How do I say this? How do I say this correctly? Tonight we're going to deal with advanced energy systems and what the pyramids may be. And I think that we can all agree that most of them are not tombs, but we're going to talk about that tonight in his research. We're going to talk about Osiris. We're going to talk about the shaft. We're going to go all the way to Nazca in Peru, which I'll be visiting a couple of times next year. I went twice this year. Very fascinating research. We're going to talk about new translations of hieroglyphs. We're going to talk about that and all of the research and how he has gotten into this. Now, his links are below, so you can click on that. We've got them over on our website and throughout social media. And there you go. And so I would like to welcome for the first time to Fade to Black Captain Leo Walton. He's right there live from the United Kingdom. Welcome to the show, Leo. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. How are you? Love the guitars, dude. I'm a guitarist myself.
Are you really?
Yeah, I'm a finger picker.
Yeah. Everybody, Leo, let me tell you something. I have 100 guitars in this room. Okay. And
Oh my God.
they're hanging all over the place, right? They're all over. Now,
Yeah,
here's the deal.
Love it.
Every guest that I have on the show, you're not planting a flag. Every guest that comes on this show goes, yeah, man, I play. I used to play. I play. I got a guitar. Yeah, okay. All right. What kind of guitar do you have?
How many?
No,
I only
what
have
kind?
6. Oh, what kind? My favorite is I've got 6 guitars, and one of them I've had since I was 12 years old. But my favorite, I've got a Taylor T5 that I fell in love with. Yeah, that's my favorite one. I like the Resonator guitar since I'm a finger picker.
Yeah, those are
Had
cool
a
too as well.
Fender with the big, singing bowl in it.
Mm-hmm.
So my style is kind of like Lindsey Buckingham or Mark Knopfler, the whole picking style.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
But
awesome.
I have a Joe Satriani attitude.
Oh man. Yeah. Finger picking and acoustic guitar work. I've got a few acoustic guitars. It's not really it never really was what I focused on. I didn't have the time to. But I really appreciate somebody that can, play the acoustic guitar. It's a total different approach. What I do on these things, you can't translate it over to. I have over here, I've got an acoustic Stratocaster, and I also have an acoustic Telecaster, and they're over there. Those are Fender guitars. They're really nice, and that they both play closer to an electric neck, but have an acoustic sound. Yeah, and they're pretty cool. But you get the first time guest disclaimer. So let's get that out of the way before we start talking guitar all night. Leo, it's just you and I sitting on my couch having a conversation as friends, and where the conversation starts, it starts, and where it ends, but we're going to end as friends. So you have to accept so we can move forward.
All right.
You accept?
Let's go.
All right.
Yes,
cool.
sir.
I do a lot of shows, Leo, on the pyramids and alternative uses and so forth. I do a lot. It's something that I've always been fascinated with over the years. What got you into this?
Well, what happened with me, Jimmy, was in 2007. I never had any real draw to the pyramids other than one day I'd like to see the Great Pyramid, But in 2007, I suffered a significant electrical shock. I was knocked 13 feet, was unconscious for, I actually was in now a coma for 3 weeks. And when I came out of that coma, it took me a long time to get my head straight and everything, but all of a sudden I started reading a little bit on pyramids, and the next thing I know, I became the mashed potato man on the Great Pyramid and dove into the Great Pyramid really seriously. I've been doing this research about 17 years. I actually introduced my theories for the first time at Edgar Cayce's A.R.E. in Virginia Beach, Virginia, which was a real honor to go there. And that was in 2015. So I've been putting things together for a good while. And what I felt I'm a really good person because of my experiences at being able to kind of reverse engineer things. But I started having visions that I would see things in my mind, and I have hundreds and hundreds of drawings that I've drawn over the years that led me to a lot of my hypotheses that I've come up with and led me to kind of were signposts along the way to look over here and investigate this, consider this perspective. I owned my own company for 15 years. I was a marine forensics investigator. So I looked at things in detail. I did over 2,500 forensics investigations. 250 of them or more were lightning investigations. So I have a lot of experience with lightning. Plus, I've been in 5 lightning strike events. 2 of them struck me directly. One of them blew a crown off my tooth. So I had this real crazy relationship with energy from a number of perspectives. But it made me into they call me a geomancer or electromagneto guy because I can close my eyes. I'm so sensitive to frequencies that I can tell you the 4 corners precisely, which is an interesting trait to have. But it makes you sensitive to energies. But when I did that presentation in 2015 at A.R.E., I was convinced that the Great Pyramid's function was to create hydrogen gas. And I ended up over time learning that I was correct and wrong at the same time. The main purpose of the Great Pyramid, it's multifunctional. I call it the Swiss Army knife of pyramid systems, and that's why it will always be the Great Pyramid. The other 3 systems I've figured out on their purpose, the Bosnian pyramids and Teotihuacan, are much more simpler in design, but the Great Pyramid is just a magnificent device. But what I learned was ultimately that what I didn't realize at the time is you need to make hydrogen to make plasma. And so I had found the first real stage of the process. And then I learned that ultimately the Great Pyramid is creating plasma in many, many ways. And that's its main function. And that is why the Sahara Desert was green. You can't grow foliage in sand unless you've got a real good topsoil and a lot of rain, to make it green. But plasma, and I know this for fact because I had a friend of mine, he's a British guy that was living in the Caribbean when a hurricane hit about 10 years ago down there. And his passion is plasma. He makes all kinds of plasma devices, formulas that you drink and whatnot. And after the hurricane, they went and just basically made tons of plasma water that all the crops have been destroyed, that they took an area and man, the crops just took off growing anywhere. So they were able to recover having fresh vegetables in a really short period of time.
What is
plasma?
What is plasma water?
Plasma water. It's an electrical process that he does, that he creates. It's kind of like you've seen these little bottles that you make hydrogen in. They're little tiny jars. You pour a little water in it, and you hit the button. It's an electrolysis process, and it makes hydrogen in the water. Well, it's another process that goes with that he makes the plasma. So like I say, you need hydrogen. Vita Austin, you may have heard of her. She's become real famous lately with her consciousness, where she actually freezes consciousness in water. She'll have thoughts or have an idea in her mind, and she'll imprint that in the water and put it in the freezer, and it literally makes the images. If you haven't gotten into Vita Austin, you're going to be blown away with her techniques, and she trains everyone to be able to do that. But she has a statement that I kind of coined from her influence. She says plasma is the brains of hydrogen. So it's really, really interesting concept. And plasma is everywhere. Our ionosphere is plasma. Our blood system is 55% plasma. The male semen is 95% plasma. So plasma is all over. It's the number one ingredient in the universe. As a matter of fact, in outer space, because of where I live, I know a lot of scientists and whatnot in NASA, and lots of astronauts out of the Hampton, Virginia area, and physicists and whatnot. But the International Space Station, before the astronauts go out and do the floating in space, like they do experiments or repairs or whatever, before they go outside into the environment, they have an electrical grid that they built outside the International Space Station that they power up. Because if the astronauts go out without powering up this grid, they get covered with what they call them plasma jellyfish. And plasma most likely is going to be in a positive category, and humans are negative, so they're most likely attracted to our energy field, and that's why they get covered in these plasma jellyfish. It's kind of a bizarre story, but that's what I hear through the grapevine.
Okay, so water plasma is a term referring to water that has been exposed to a plasma state of matter, a highly ionized gas, which creates plasma-activated water, PAW. The PAW contains a variety of reactive chemical species like reactive oxygen and nitrogen species, RONs, such as hydrogen peroxide, nitrite, and nitrate. Due to these active constituents, PAW is used for applications like surface disinfection, food decontamination, and enhancing plant growth. There you go.
Right.
And
there you go, man. I'm telling you, it's good stuff.
Yeah, and pretty interesting.
Yes, number one ingredient in the universe is plasma, and its abundance. Where you have plasma, you have life.
Okay, so let's back up. That's
right.
very interesting. I love learning something on the show, and I just learned something, and so did the rest of the audience. You said that you figured out the first stage at the Great Pyramid, which led you to, right? What was that it was the first stage that you discovered? And did you check out Christopher Dunn's work?
Yeah. Of course, yeah. I've been at 2 conferences now with Chris, and what happened with me is I was stumbling around and bumbling around, reading all these different texts and everything, and I like I said, I fell in the deep end of it, and I actually I want to talk. There's some people with the Edgar Cayce group that is big into pyramid research and all. And I wanted to talk to the gentleman there involved in that. And I contacted A.R.E. and they didn't send me his information. This has been some time ago. This has been 17, 18 years ago, probably. Anyway, they sent me information on Christopher Dunn. I said, why'd you send me information on Christopher Dunn? I was interested in the other guy, but I read his book. And it hit me right in the face. Being, I come from building nuclear reactors, mechanical engineering background, pumps. The fire suppression system pump in the Twin Towers, I was the project manager engineer that went and removed that pump out of there, rebuilt and put it back prior to 9/11. So my pump that I did, probably saved over 60,000 people's lives. It allowed them time to escape the buildings and everything, which is something that I didn't plan on for certain. Let me tell you, it really surprised me when all of that occurred. And we're right here at that date, too, again. So it's kind of an interesting period for me. But
the
with my
question,
mechanical background, I developed.
Leo, the first stage that you figured out, what was it?
Okay, it was, I figured out the Great Pyramid and how it worked. Chris Dunn kind of keyed me to see that it was not a tomb, because I always believed it was a tomb like everyone else. And I just started putting components together until I figured it out. John Cadman figured out the pump in the bottom. I started working the mechanics, the dynamics. I'm real good at that, being a vertical pump engineer. I knew how the dynamics and flows. I put the whole system together, how the water moved through all of the different areas in the Great Pyramid. And I figured out a lot of the way the water moves through there and prior. There's 14 systems in Egypt I've identified, and they all line up with the Taurus constellation. But anyway, I ended up figuring out that the water was circulating through there. You know, the sarcophagus in the king's chamber, which I call the reaction chamber. You've been in there, I'm sure, and seen it, and you see how worn it is. You know, it looks like it's had some kind of chemical or caught on fire or something, but we must realize that that sarcophagus is 55% quartz crystal, clear quartz crystal, which means it's piezoelectric. It's floating in a water environment. And and I learned this from Chris Dunn, the floor of the king's chamber is not solidly fixed in there. It kind of just sits there loose. So when that pump that's 100 feet below the Great Pyramid, when it makes that, it's a simple pump. And when it makes that big boom, every second, it beats 60 times a minute. So every time it does this, if you look at John Cadman's work, it sends resonance up through the whole pyramid because it's 100 feet below the ground, below the pyramid. Okay. So if you go underneath the reaction chamber, the king's chamber, there's a big void in there. So it's like a big subwoofer. So you've got this resonance being captured in this pyramid shape. It's being sent up to the top of it. All of that energy from that pump. And this pump, they figured out the technical engineering on it's 3,200 PSI is what its capability. That's a lot of juice. So you got a lot of force running through that pyramid system. Now, what happens is the water gets disassociated, and the whole system is designed from Lake Maurice. There's 2 tunnels at Lake Maurice. I don't know if you've seen the images that they showed. It looked like a little island sitting in Lake Maurice with 2 little small kind of like pyramids on them with statues on top. Those systems are actually at the bottom of Lake Maurice right now. They've actually been verified with this satellite archaeology some years ago, and they say statues are still there. I believe those are actually a system that opens up the water from Lake Maurice to flow through the tunnels. You've got to understand the Nile flows from south to north, which is backwards for most rivers. So that means Lake Maurice is at a much higher altitude than the Giza plateau. So water drains downhill. So all these tunnels that have been built from Lake Maurice that go to all the other systems scattered about, I've identified each one of them. And all the whole focus, like what's the gentleman's name? Drummond. Jeffrey Drummond found the chemicals being made in the Red Pyramid and whatnot. And I can tell you, I've been in the Red Pyramid and it still takes your breath. They closed that in 1967 because people were fainting in there from ammonia smell. So they didn't open that again until 1997. It took them 30 years to try and get the stink out of it. But anyway, all of these things are chemicals. They are rough environments like the Serapeum with all of those big sarcophagus in it. That is designed to structure the water and disassociate it. So, and it's seawater. Lake Maurice is a saltwater aquifer, and you need salt water to make hydrogen. So if you start at the source from Lake Maurice, you've got the fuel right there that you need. And it's got like 4 special ions in it that because it's salt water that others don't have. So all of this is designed to take the water, structure the water, do things to it chemically and with the kinetic energy flowing through the tunnels, with the pressures, all of this, the design of the inside of the pyramid, it's all designed to disassociate the water molecules to separate the hydrogen and oxygen. That way you have hydrogen, therefore you can create plasma from it. So what's going on? Also, let's go back to the king's chamber. Above the king's chamber, there are 5 70-ton red granite blocks above, stacked on top of each other with an air gap between them. They've estimated these red granite, they are 70 tons and 55% clear quartz crystal. That means if you've got 5 times 70, you're ending up with over 200 tons of piezoelectric clear quartz crystals. Now, you got to understand what piezoelectric means. A clear quartz crystal, Nikola Tesla said they're not a stone, they're not a mineral, they're a living being. They are used, you know, the little grill lighter we have that's got the clicker on it with a long barrel. When you're going out to cook your barbecue, you use that grill lighter to light your grill. Everybody thinks it has a battery in it. It does not. It has a little tiny 1/4-inch sliver of crystal. And when you hit that trigger, it's a hammer and an anvil. And every time that anvil hits that crystal, it sends a spark out. It creates mechanical energy, creates the electric energy. And that wire that comes at the end of that thing is glued to that crystal. So it takes that spark that it generates when you click it and sends it to the end to light the flame. One of the gentlemen that introduced me and invited me to speak at the A.R.E. to introduce my pyramid theories is a NASA retired rocket scientist, and he was nominated for the Nobel Prize because he invented our global GPS satellite system. His name's Neil Helm, and he was attracted to my theories. I guess he'd never seen anything quite like it before, and allowed me the opportunity to speak there at A.R.E. Anyhow, he told me, because we were talking about piezoelectric energy, and he says, Leo, and this is something that attracted him to me is because of my interest in piezoelectric. He says, Leo, every satellite orbiting the Earth, the navigation system is not like an electric battery. It's piezoelectric. We have quartz crystals in every satellite that controls the navigation system. And the reason being that they use the quartz crystal is every time you hit that quartz crystal, if that crystal lasted 1,000,000 years and you hit it every minute, it is going to give you the exact same voltage out of it. And that's why they use quartz crystals. And the only way it's going to quit working is to have a mechanical failure with the anvil, or either the crystal itself becomes compromised. So
Yeah, let me jump in.
piezoelectric.
Let me
Go
jump in
ahead.
and just say one thing really quick. You mentioned the stones above the king's chamber.
That's right.
I just want to be very clear on this and transparent.
Okay.
There are 5 relieving chambers above the king's chamber. Each level, and there are 5, has 9 granite blocks in it. There are a total of 40 granite blocks above the king's chamber, not 5.
Okay, I haven't heard that.
That's
It must
very
be some
important.
news. Yeah, interesting.
No. That's been known for quite a while.
Okay.
I've been in the king's chamber a few times, and I just want to be very clear
All right,
about
cool.
that. I don't.
All right.
Yeah. So there's 40 blocks, average weight of around 70 tons for sure, and all of those came from
Interesting.
allegedly from Aswan, about
Uh,
500 miles away.
so we're talking even more piezoelectric.
Well, yeah,
would
and then
be-
you have the king's chamber
Yeah.
itself.
Well,
Is
everybody thinks that
go ahead.
everybody thinks that the Great Pyramid's capstone was stolen. Well, my theory is the Great Pyramid never was designed to have a capstone, because you've got all this piezoelectric that's inside. So it's basically our grill lighter. So we've got the mechanism at the pump in the bottom that's creating the mechanical force. It resonates up through, and it causes a discharge of all that. Man, can you imagine the voltage that must be coming out of the top of the Great Pyramid? Okay, why is it doing this? It's because I believe in 2024, last year, we had a real rash of coronal mass injections from the sun, okay, which are plasma injections, okay? And these plasma injections are coming in a powerful rate, and our ionosphere, which is a membrane full of plasma, it penetrates that membrane. Okay, typically the ionosphere of the Earth, I'm all over the place because it's many facets to this, but I'll bring it closer together so you can see. Our plasma membrane operates as a diurnal system. The temperature range in that between daytime and nighttime is about 500 degrees. It actually goes below zero. It gets really cold in there, but the maximum temperature during the day, typically on the average, is 440 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, that's how hot the energy is in our membrane, floating, protecting us from the sun's rays. All right. So what happens, like, you remember all the aurora borealis, that you can see them so much further south. Well, the aurora borealis is you're actually seeing the plasma. That's literally the ionosphere. So the ionosphere at night is this big. During the day, it's this big. And that's the mechanism that happens on the Great Pyramid. So the Great Pyramid is sending this about a 14, golly, I forget the exact measurements off my head, but that square on top of the Great Pyramid shoots a piezoelectric discharge up. Now, the difference in the relationship, the closeness to the Earth, during the day, the ionosphere is 37 miles above the Great Pyramid. At nighttime, it's 54 miles away. So I believe that is actually the diurnal system, that they move the ionosphere past the range of the piezoelectric. thing about plasma, and here we're talking piezoelectric, lightning, plasma, and piezoelectric are all plasma. They
But
all are in.
What's it used for?
What's it used for? It's to bring the heat down to the earth. Like I said, my theories are all based on heat and melting the ice age.
So melting the ice age was the reason
Right,
for
but
the Great
it's
Pyramid?
like I say, it's a complicated system. We've got to go to the Osiris's tomb to really get to it. But the Great Pyramid, like I say, it's so many components to it. If it's shooting up, it's
Okay.
so basically when the coronal mass injections, when they hit the ionosphere, the scientists at NASA, I read the reports that they did from all the analysis on the influence that the coronal mass injections last year had on the ionosphere. It raised the temperatures in the ionosphere up to 2,000 degrees. That
Yeah, I
means
read the
the
same thing.
ionosphere was fatter. So that's why you can see it so much further south, because that membrane is expanded. So that is what the Great Pyramid was doing that was the influence it had on the ionosphere.
Okay, let's stay okay. Hold on. Let's stay focused here. Let's stay focused. I like where you're going with this. So what you're suggesting, let's put this in a, let's just put a bow on this and wrap this up.
All right.
So what you're suggesting is that the Great Pyramid and other pyramids, not just the Great Pyramid, around the world were constructed during or even before, but during the last ice age to end the ice age. Am I understanding you correctly?
Yes, I've determined 5 pyramids, I believe, were involved in this, and possibly more. Now, I've only written this first book I've come out with. There's 2 more behind it already written. I just got to update them and publish them. But I've got about it's going to be about 1,500 pages, 3 manuals. It's going to explain the entire system pretty much, and probably some satellite books come out of it from there. But the the Younger Dryas period is a real mystery. Graham Hancock came up, with the comet impact in Greenland. And I've done extensive comet impact research. And the largest comet to impact the North American continent is the one that formed the Chesapeake Bay. I did all of the research that the scientists said on how much heat came from that, what influence it had on the Earth as far as elevating the temperature or whatever. And it changed the local area as far as the geography when you take something that big and run into the ground. But the significance overall, the scientists claimed it never affected the heat and temperature of the Earth, not for a minute. And so when I look at comets and I realize that let's talk about the ice sheet it's 2 miles thick in the Pacific Northwest and most of the North Hemisphere. We literally have a 2-mile thick block of ice on the entire. And any kind of impact from a meteor it's going to burn out really quickly. And so you're talking about having to melt a 2-mile sheet of ice. And the ice age lasted between 2.43 million years, depends on who you talk to. So I believe that there are brains bigger than ours that decided where to put these systems and how to make them function and work together. I believe that humans on this planet were really, really held to a low level of abundance and lifestyle during the Ice Age. And we weren't allowed, if I consider Earth as an experiment and we are experiments. The Homo sapien, they say, according to Smithsonian, we are the 21st edition. And they already have decided what the 22nd is going to be, is Homo superius. But anyway, not getting off on that tangent. So I started saying, okay, somebody came up with a plan to try and get, so you're talking about the whole ring of fire volcanoes. There's like over 450 active volcanoes there. They were frozen. Magma is 70% water. So they were frozen. They were dysfunctional. They couldn't create any heat on the earth with the volcano system. What happened with me, once I figured out the Great Pyramid and all the other systems there, I decided to really dive into Osiris's tomb. And the thing that got me on Osiris's tomb that really caught my eye is all of the systems at Giza are aligned perfectly, except the wall of the crow is not aligned perfect. And there's a temple right in front of the Sphinx. You've been there. You know, that temple that aims right at the Sphinx. Okay. There's a lot to that. Anyway, so I said, Osiris's tomb, you know, Zari Hawass, J.J. Hurtak and his bride, Desiree, they actually the first to discover Osiris's tomb in 1996 or 97, I believe it was. And then after they were there, they tell a really interesting story. They were down there and were surveying the area to see it. It was so much mud then. This is what I heard from all these people when I got into Osiris's tomb. It was so full of water, nobody could really get down there and see anything. So I heard that they pumped it out. So I said, okay, I'm going to start calling around. I'm going to find somebody that was involved in this that can give me the information. I found out.
You haven't been down there?
No, I haven't been down there myself. I used all of the information that Zari Hawass did. He went and surveyed the whole area. So I used his measurements. And my hat's off to him. He did, looks like a pretty good job on that, actually. But I used all of those measurements to come up with what I needed to figure it out, because it's 3 levels. And it would bring the plasma water off of the causeway. That's where the entrance is, off of the second pyramid. I believe that the Great Pyramid shoots a beam of piezoelectric up every second into the ionosphere. When that energy retracts, it's going to have plasma attached to it, because that piezoelectric is negative. So you're shooting it into a plasma environment of positive. They're going to cling to anything in there, and when it retracts, it's coming back to the Giza plateau. The second pyramid, they've always said the foundation for it is much larger, that there must have been a larger pyramid built on it. I say no. It's a heat sink. That pyramid was designed to capture this stray plasma energy, which we're talking 440 degrees at least, coming down on the Giza plateau. Plasma loves limestone. And it's limestone bedrock. I mean, the Sphinx is carved out of limestone. Plasma is faster than light. It is a scalar energy. Because I know nuclear radiation. Okay,
it's faster than light.
Faster than the speed of light. If you blink your eyes, energy coming from that Osiris tomb could go all the way through the earth and be back at you in the time it takes you to blink your eye. It's how fast it is. People don't realize in nuclear energy. Let's talk alpha rays, beta rays. They are particles. Gamma, lots of gamma in plasma. And gamma is produced, it is a wave. It is electromagnetic frequencies, just like an AC motor with an armature, and all that is how Osiris tomb works, circulating plasma water around. When they first went into Osiris's tomb, There used to be 4 columns built in there that
That's
were
right.
knocked down. Somebody destroyed them on purpose to make that system dysfunctional. I found the same thing in Bosnia. They made the systems dysfunctional by filling up the tunnels full of gravel so they would not work. So this system in Osiris's tomb is broken. We would have to put those columns back up because it's magnetic. The water circular, you've got an electromagnetic gamma water plasma circulating, and the Osiris's tomb's 108 feet. Underneath that is 3 big openings that drain into another tunnel below it that comes out of the Tomb of the Birds and runs straight to the Sphinx. The Sphinx has got a hole in it about this big in its head that they filled up with concrete to keep it from flooding the tunnels. Okay? That's where a lot of water was probably coming from.
Let me stay with you on this.
All right.
I understand and know about most of this. So what you're saying is that the tunnels, the cave system, I should say, from the Tomb of the Birds goes underneath the Great Pyramid and is connected to the Osiris shaft.
Okay, the from the Great Pyramid, it goes to Osiris's tomb with the water it's created there. Okay,
no, I'm saying back. No, you said from the Tomb of the Birds, though.
Right, right. Well, the Tomb of the Birds is underground, and it doesn't feed Osiris's tomb. It goes below it, and it captures the water coming out. That's where the water goes. Osiris's tomb. It all drains in this tunnel that runs to the Sphinx. So that tunnel.
But you mentioned the Tomb of the Birds. So,
well, the Tomb of the Birds is kind of like a distribution point. That's where the water comes out of the Great Pyramid and is distributed to the other 2 pyramid systems and goes underneath Osiris's tomb and goes to the Sphinx. So it literally is a distribution center for that whole Giza plateau. And that is what its function was, is it comes out of there and then sends it. And everything's designed to be metered to have a certain flow. It's really, really, like I say, I've done all of the design components on this, and everything is so perfectly designed. I've discovered over 100 scalar energies on the Giza Plateau area that all come together and work together. You know, the Hermes, if we take all of these energies and mix them together, we'll have something really powerful. And that's exactly what they did. It's ingenious. But what happens is all of that heat that they're capturing is going in that big slab of limestone and heating the earth there. And what's below the all of that? It's a karst system. Are you familiar with karst systems? They're all over the earth. The mammoth caves, the largest caves on the planet, are karst systems, which means they're limestone. The thing about limestone is if you have any water, like rainwater that goes through them, it eats all these caverns in them. That was all eroded away by water. That used to all be stone, the mammoth caves. This is all what's underneath the Great Pyramid systems in Giza. It's the same thing, and water is circulating through there, and it's low level there. We're talking real low elevation at the Great Pyramid down there. That's not a real, you're close to sea level there, within 100 feet or so. So you're talking about a lot of water infiltration. The Nile used to run by there, so it would saturate anything in the ground through there. But with the new dam that they put in there some years ago, they moved the Nile over. It's 8 miles away from the Giza Plateau now. That system's not even anywhere similar. But anyway, what happens is that water, we're getting kind of back and forth, but that water that flows out of there goes out in straight into the Sphinx. And it goes out the head. The Sphinx I have listed as what they call a ground-based cloud seeding device. And I figured up all of the formulas on the water pressure shooting out the head at 3,200 PSI plus an 18-inch hole. It would shoot the water up between 6,000, 6,500 feet. This is why. So you're shooting plasma water up in the air, 6,000 feet, 24 hours a day, 295 days a year. Coriolis effect, the Mediterranean cyclone, the directions and all of that of the weather systems, the way they come, all of our hurricanes come out of the Mediterranean Sea. All of them form there. Okay, so what we're doing is we're Coriolis effect. We're rotating around. We're spraying water up in the air. That is what made the Sahara Desert green. You had this operating I figured these systems operate in 2 cycles beginning in 32,000 BC. And the Younger Dryas period is when they shut them down. And I claim that because there was an event in America, and it was a really catastrophic event in 14,500 BC called the Bonneville Flood that scientists still can't figure out. Typically, when you have floods, it's numerous times. It's repeated over and over and over again. This was just one flood, and it was a magnificent flood, and it was all underneath the ground, okay? All underneath the ground, and it created the Great Basin that they used to water all the crops. It's all in the Midwest of America. That's where that came from. It came from all this water. It melted in 14,500 BC. So scientists just like, well, we can't figure it out. Where did it come from? It was a 2-mile thick block of ice, and we had this huge flood underneath. Well, my theory solves all that. What happened at Osiris's tomb now? Let's go back there. I said, why is this tomb not aligned perfectly? I said, why is this tomb aligned? I figured it up, and it was actually 121.5 to the east and 243 degrees to the west. So I said, why in the world is this system 108 sacred? That's sacred geometry. 108 is a very special number. The relationship between the earth and 108 and the sun is all 108. And now we've got Osiris' tomb at 108 feet deep. The water is captured off of the causeway that comes out of the second pyramid, and it's 108 degrees. It's pointed at 108 degrees. I'm like, we got all this sacred geometry. It's related to our universe. What's going on here? Why is it pointing? I said, okay. So I went to Google Earth. I said, let's take this 243 degree measurement from right at Osiris's tomb and see where the hell it goes. So I went, and I pretty much traveled all the way across Africa, and pretty much all I saw was sand everywhere. I didn't see no other structures, no anomalies that caused me to want to stop and investigate. And I ended up, this is going to blow your mind, okay? I ended up on the shore of the Atlantic Ocean in Casablanca. I said, all right, I've gone all the way across Egypt. I found nothing. So I'm going across the Atlantic Ocean and see where this goes. So I head across the Atlantic Ocean, and I'm taking my time and making sure I'm staying on. So I'm really stopping and looking every once in a while where I'm at. So I go across and I land in Ocean City, Maryland, in the harbor, right in the harbor in Ocean City, Maryland, like I was taking my boat there. Anyway, I said, okay, well, I'm in America now. I'm going to set my mileage to 0 now that I'm here in Ocean City, Maryland. And let me continue on 243 degrees and see what we hit. I went 111 miles, Jimmy, and I thought I was insane. I landed on
111. Okay.
111, another sacred number.
Right.
Landed on top of the Washington Monument, Jimmy.
That
Now, this is
figures.
what's also, this is
Freemasons know
freaky.
what they're doing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Freemasons know what they're
somebody
doing.
knows what's going on. And let me
Yeah,
tell you
yeah.
this. The Washington Monument is on the lawn of the White House. Okay? You know, they're looking right at the Washington Monument. Guess what Casablanca means in English?
I thought
White
the
House.
Capitol. I thought the Capitol building was behind it.
Well, the Capitol, it's on one side of it. White House is the other side.
Okay.
Yeah, it's looking at
if
it.
you put the Lincoln Memorial behind you,
Yeah, it's
and then
looking
you've
at
got
the,
the mirror pools in front of you. There's the Washington Monument.
that's right, and the
behind
Capitol
it-
building.
and behind it's the
Perfect.
Capitol
But
building.
the White House is off to the left.
To
It
the left
sets
or to
off
the
to
right?
the left,
I
looking at
can't
the other
remember.
side.
I can't remember.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
been there. I've been there so many times.
You're gonna look at it differently when you go there in this time.
Yeah, I know, right.
That's right. So the White House lawn now has this the largest Egyptian obelisk in the world, 555 feet tall, and it's the phallus of Osiris. And if you look at it a little bit further, you'll from above, you'll see they actually put it inside the Vesica Pisces, which is a big, big Christian religious symbol in the Catholic Church. Most people, you say, what is the Vesica Pisces? They don't even know. But there's lots of religious stuff that shows Jesus being born in the Vesica Pisces and all of this. So it's very Christian. It's very symbolic. But the thing of it is, Casablanca, I want to back up there. So we left Africa from Casablanca. If you translate Casablanca, it's White House. So White House is what Casablanca means. Yep. So we've got a White House in Casablanca, and it ends up at the obelisk in front of the White House in America. Something is going on here that people know more than what we know. So I said,
is it there to melt the next ice age?
No, I think America was built there as an extension of Egypt. As a matter of fact, we can go into the name America. America itself, it had nothing to do with any Italian explorers. It's actually, I translate. Well, I'm pretty good at hieroglyphs. And like Nazca lines, I got 9 of them figured out. Hieroglyphs, I figured out 4 major hieroglyphs in Egypt. The Papyrus of Ani is going to change probably 1,000 of them once people start looking at it and seeing that the symbolic that Wallace Bulge had over 100 years ago was a little off base. He didn't have the experience as I did to be able to figure this stuff out. And he, he's born in a Christian nation. He's going to have his own belief system. So I believe my goal is in a few years to rewrite the Egyptian Book of the Dead and update it, which is going to be a large task. It's going to require probably a team of people to do that because it's going to require so many more hieroglyphs to be retranslated with a different format. But anyway, nothing like a big plan. But what I discovered I left the Washington Monument. I said, here we are, but you want to go into the name of America first?
Well, let's do that after the break. Let's take our
All
break
right
here.
Break, man.
This is
you got me fired up now.
Oh, man. Well, here's the thing, though, Leo. It's about me learning. That's what this show is about. The show has never been about. I love it when I really do. I love it when somebody comes up and goes, man, your show, it's done for me. I'm like, no, it's not. It's done for me.
Yeah.
I don't give a crap about it. No, I am here to learn. I have been researching these subjects since I was a little kid. I've been doing this for over 50 years. I am learning. Have I answered any questions for myself? No.
No.
I've jumped down every rabbit hole. I've interviewed the very best of the best, and I'm here to learn. That's
right.
it. And if I learn, everybody else learns too. Don't think I'm doing this show for other people. I'm not. I'm not. When somebody, Leo, if somebody writes me,
Yeah.
or whatever, and says, "Hey, man, you know what you should do?" As soon as I see that, right, I block. I block. I don't read it. I'll delete the email. I will block the sender. I will block because I don't. No. Stop thinking that way. I will only do what I want to do.
It's your show, man.
I don't want to. Well, it's not about doing. That's like you want to go. Do you think John Lennon and Paul McCartney were sitting down writing songs, going, "Okay, what do you think the people want? Let's write for them."
Oh,
No,
yeah, right.
no, those songs are there. The books, as soon as you respond to somebody that is going, "Hey, man, you know what you should do on your show? You know how you should write your next record? You know how you should play your guitar solos? Let me tell you how you should dress." You know what? Go bleep yourself.
I used to be married to her.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But I am here to learn.
Yeah,
That's all
me too.
I want. I want alternative ideas pumped in my head. I want to consider everything and see how I come out the other side.
Awesome.
And the people that come to this show know my process. They know my next question. They've been with me for years and years. They're inside my head. They know how I am navigating all of this, and they appreciate that. And so, again, if I can just somehow learn something, just learn a little piece that I can add to all of this, then I've won. And that's why I do the show. So you stay right there, Leo. Great conversation so far. When we come back, I guess we'll figure out how America was named. We'll do all of that next. Leo, stay right there. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this short break. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to get your alerts and access to over 2,000 videos. Click that subscribe button right now. Go to jimmychurchradio.com and get the Fade to Black official podcast. 2,000 episodes, all of them commercial free for just $2 a month. Watch Into the Vortex on Gaia TV. It's Fade to Black for the screen. Simple to do. Go to Gaia.com, search Jimmy Church, or click on the link below. Follow Fade to Black on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Get all of the show updates every single day. It's now called X, but who cares? How you doing? Jimmy Church here. Special announcement. Get your Fade to Black t-shirts. That's right. Help support the show. Help support everything that we do over here. We've got 2 t-shirts. We've got 2 ways to get them. Get your Fade to Black t-shirt today. Go Backley Tappy. Go to jimmychurchradio.com and become a Fadernaut. Get a membership. That's right. Everything is commercial free. You have access to downloads, and you get to call yourself a Fadernaut. Jimmy Church, Guy TV, Fade to Black, here at Machu Picchu with Brian Forster and Hidden Inca Tours. Amazing tour so far, Brian, but we're here to announce what we're going to do next year in 2026. What's going on?
Okay, November 2026, we're going to have our major tour of Peru and Bolivia, either a pre or post tour of Paracas and Nazca on the coast. And then after that, 6 days in Easter Island.
Bucket list, Easter Island. Come join Brian and I and his amazing team here at Hidden Inca Tours for Peru, Bolivia, and Easter Island. Signing out. Say goodbye, Brian.
Bye, gang.
River Moon Coffee, makers of the Fade to Black blend. Truly the best coffee on planet Earth. Just visit rivermoonwellness.com or their Amazon store. It's all simple to do. You can check out the Fade to Black blend, the Game Changer blend, or any of their Black Moon wellness products. It's the only coffee I drink. It is the best, and it's Doc. Again, rivermoonwellness.com. All right. Welcome back. Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Captain Leo Walton is with us. We're talking about his research into ancient pyramid energy systems and his ideas, which is pretty interesting. I'm digging it. That they were used. He's found 5 locations around the world. We've been discussing the Great Pyramid and the Osiris shaft, but to use plasma to pulse generate energy into the ionosphere, return it back to Earth, and to melt and end the last ice age. Pretty interesting concept. Pretty interesting. I'm digging the conversation. Let's get back into it now. Leo, you mentioned America. I want to jump ahead though, and talk about the Nazca lines. If we have time, we'll circle back to the renaming or the naming of America. But the Nazca lines, I've been there too, a few times now.
Awesome.
And very interesting. I'm going to say this about Nazca. And it's the truth. If you go back to, at least for me, Chariots of the Gods and the way that Von Daniken in that film presented the Nazca lines. And so for all of it, for me, I was just glued to it, right? The airplane going over, you saw the shadow of the airplane down on the Nazca plane.
Yeah.
You look at it.
That's been a long time ago.
Well, but it changed me. And that narrator, right, with that, and the Nazca line. I mean, sure, you know, just man, I was like, so anyway, I did that, right? I flew over the Nazca lines a couple of times. I
haven't done that yet.
Oh man! So this is what people don't get. They don't understand the size of Nazca. You're looking at those glyphs. You're looking at the monkey. You're looking at the hummingbird. Okay, all right. It goes horizon to horizon as far as you can see. The lines are and it is giant. And so you sit back and you go, you know, what the bleep? How? Somebody explain this. When you look at an absolute straight line, and you're in an airplane, and you see a straight line go and then disappear, right?
Yeah, it looks like an interstate highway.
Miles straight. But there's not one. There's thousands of them. There isn't 2. There isn't 3. There are thousands of them, and they are all over. It is mind-blowingly huge. So let's go back to your research. Okay, so how'd you tie the Nazca lines into all of this?
Okay, Well, I got interested in the Nazca lines too. You can't get involved in this in this genre and not find a connection to the Nazca lines. And I started doing research on them, and over a period of several years, I ended up with theories on 9 of them. But there was 2 of them that really attracted me that I thought were particularly the Nazca Monkey. Let's talk about the Nazca Monkey. Okay, I wrote about it a lot in my book, and it's going to require an entire book to detail all of the information I learned on the Nazca Monkey and its relationship to the number 369 and to the relationship of Egypt. I took and analyzed. I literally went to Nazca, got all of the coordinates where it was at on the planet, and I moved all of that with the monkey to the Giza plateau. And you won't believe how the monkey aligns up on the Giza plateau. But if you look at the Giza monkey, his tail has 4 circles in it. And in a vortex, and I see you do a show about vortexes, you know that the first circle in a vortex they call the seed. They don't consider that as part of the vortex. So if you remove the seed, which is going to grow into the energy or the plant, you have 3 rings, okay? If you look at the monkey's toes, he has 3 toes on each foot. There's 6. If you look at his hands, one hand has 5 fingers on it. One hand has 4. 3, 6, 9. I made a whole, 50 t-shirts back in 2018, 2019 with the Nazca Monkey and with the 369 on it. I said, I've done figured out the 369. But anyway, if you look at the Nazca Monkey glyph, there's 3 pyramids on that glyph. And it took a lot of figuring out how all those systems work. You've got a bunch of squiggly lines that's in front of the monkey line. You've got all them loops and all of that stuff in there. So it's literally 2 glyphs in one, and they connect together. I've taken it to where it stopped. If you look at that, it looks like it was designed with a 3D printing machine, that the monkey starts here and it's one line that goes all the way around, ends here. And the same way with the second glyph, it has a starting point and a finishing point, and they're all related together. I believe the second glyph, and I detail this in my book, is telling you the system, how it functions, the cycles of it, the duration of it. It tells you all that information. But the monkey I took, and there you go. Yeah, all these squiggly ones to the.
Yeah, I took this picture.
Okay, cool. It's a good picture.
I took that picture myself. So I wanted to look at what you were.
Yeah, look at it.
So there's the 3 fingers or 3 toes. Oh no, he's got 5 fingers. He's got 5, but he does have 3 toes, though. You're right about that.
Yeah. He's got 4 on one hand.
Yeah, he's got 4 on one hand,
4 and 5 on the other.
Yeah,
now look at his tail.
Yeah, why would you make a mistake like that? You go and you make this.
That's right.
Yeah. Why do you make this
Why
mistake?
would you give him a deformed hand?
Now, I want to show it. So as I back this picture, that's what the picture looks like that I took out of the plane window.
Right.
And that is the monkey right here. And so if you look in the back, these are all lines that are heading off in different directions. But there's the monkey right there. And then
there's a system that's telling you 8 cycles. It's 8 cycles.
Yeah, very
interesting.
It's telling
you how the pyramid system functions. It's a diurnal system. But I drew all this out in my book. I took and laid all this out that you can see it. I found literally about 50 alignments from the Nazca lines that lines up perfectly to the Giza plateau. But I took the Nazca Monkey and I moved him to Giza and aligned him on the Giza plateau exactly where he was at the Nazca lines, as far as the coordinates, what degree was this way and he fits it perfectly.
That's interesting.
His tail actually resides over the Great Pyramid, which a Great Pyramid, you got to remember, is 8-sided. It's not 4-sided. And the reason it's 8-sided is because it's catching the electromagnetic frequency of the Earth and sending it straight up the top. So from all 4 sides, you've got the south energy, you got the north energy, the east and west. All of these energies, these scalar energies, are being sent up and creating a vortex, is what they're creating, which creates a low pressure weather cell in the Giza plateau. Now we take the Sphinx and pump water up into it. We've got us a solar storm creation of maximum effect. And if we go offshore it's part of this system, the largest vortex, since you're into vortexes, the UVG1 vortex is off of the coast of Port Said, okay, which also lines up with the Taurus constellation stars. It's part of the system. That is the largest vortex, most powerful vortex on Earth. Do you think that had something to do with why they decided to build it in Egypt?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. And if it kind of looks, and I pointed this out before to friends of mine, kind of looks like the monkey is facing the pyramids.
3 pyramids. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Right there. And I always found that interesting, this whole construction here. If you look at, this is what I'm referring to. You can see this line here and see this line. Yeah. Those are not roads. This thing goes on for miles. Okay. And so what I had done, this is there's another shot I took of the monkey there. When I flew around the plateau, there's the monkey. That looks like a road, and it's not, and neither is this. So anyway, as I flew around, what I was
looks like Elon Musk X.
Yeah. So look at this here. Look at that. That just goes to the horizon. I was so fascinated. Look at that.
Yeah, that's a long way.
That is not a road. That is a line in the desert. And they crisscross and they go on forever. And so when you go look at it, just and these coming down. So anyway, as I flew around, look at that. Yeah, so you fly around, you fly around and you start to look at that. That's not a road. This is not a road. It looks like a highway.
Right.
It's not. And it's like that all over Nazca. Everywhere you go, every angle. And so look at this.
Amazing.
It's when look at
there's Elon Musk X.
That's the airplane wheel right here. That's just me photographing out the window and trying to capture. You see the horizon out here in the distance?
Yeah.
Okay. And then look at what's going on out here. Look at this. Look. There's just thousands of these lines going on forever. Somebody if you look here, I'll find there's a couple of I photographed these houses, and I'm looking at the houses and I'm thinking to myself, there's the shadow of our plane right there. Okay. Now look at this. Just look at how many lines are just right here.
Yeah, incredible.
Yeah. And to just go and and blow all of this off. Okay, so anyway, if you look here, there's a house, right?
Okay.
There's another house, but look, could you imagine having your house and having people come over for like this house right here, right? That's a house.
Yeah.
This is a house, right? And you go, hey man, check out my backyard. Look what's over here. You know what I mean? You bring some friends over, right? And you have a barbecue.
That's
and you
right.
go, dude, check out my Nazca lines in the back.
That's right. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's
awesome.
When we say that these things look like a runway and stuff, well, it's pretty bizarre how these turnarounds and you see the, it's just really weird to me. But that's Nazca. Nazca is absolutely fascinating. It's called the Nazca Plateau for a reason. It is just a big flat. Look at that. Just look at how look at
it's incredible.
And so you have to imagine an ancient culture out there creating this, thousands of years ago. They want to date it and say it's this old and this old. I just don't see this being created so easily.
No,
when
I think we've had some help on Earth.
Yeah, when I say it goes to the horizon, do you now understand?
Look at that.
Look at that. And I'm in an airplane. Yeah, there's the famous spiral.
Right.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible. And so, yeah, this is just me flying around Nazca. And this will give you, okay, so check this out. Those are semi trucks, right?
Right.
Okay, that's the highway. It comes around and you're just driving past this. Look at this.
Yeah.
You just look out the window and it's right there. And
there it is.
Think about what they destroyed to build this road. It's heartbreaking.
No.
There's a line that goes across here, right? You see all this? You see this? That's ancient stuff. And you can't beat progress. But anyway, so I captured those just to give you a concept of the size of what we're looking at. Look at that.
Yeah. I can't wait for the opportunity to go out there and fly over it.
It's mind blowing. One of the things that I found really interesting, and I've done this now a few times, and I'll be doing it twice again this year. I'm always looking forward to it. Is the pilot will go, okay, look out the window. He'll go, and there is the astronaut waving at you.
Right.
So now, why would your guide, right? Your guide, this is the pilot, right?
Yeah.
And so he's turning the plane and he's aiming the windows down and he says, okay, now look, and you'll see. And then he'll go, okay, now look out the window. And there is the astronaut waving at you. Why would they call it the astronaut? If it's pop culture, if it is pseudoscience, if it's this, is that, ancient astronaut theory is, but why say that to tourists? But he's right, because when you look out the window, and on the side of this mountain is this giant being standing on the side of this mountain, looking up, and it's flat. It's the mountain's like this, so it's pointing up, right? So you have to fly over it at the right angle with the airplane to see it.
Yeah,
you can't see it from the ground, Leo. You can't.
Yeah.
So you see it from the air. And what do you see from the air? You see this dude going like this. All right. Who's he waving at? And what's the purpose of that? He's waving at somebody in the sky. And that's
he's one I introduce in my book. I introduced the astronaut and the Nazca Monkey in this book. I'll probably introduce one in all my books to just fill people in when they're appropriate. I've identified I've we spent my wife and I. We've been in 13 countries, 650 locations the last 5 years. And when we travel for weeks and months at a time. We spent 5 months in Belize and Mexico, and toured all of a ton of Mayan sites out there. And Teotihuacan, I visited 4 times. And I even flew over it in a hot air balloon. So I got a real experience like you did in the airplane, except over the Teotihuacan pyramids, which helped me with a lot of my research. But the astronaut.
I wanted to show you this real quick.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. Here's your pilot.
Okay.
There he is. Yeah, that's me. Yeah. There you go. Doesn't get any better than that. It doesn't get any better than that, does it?
No, that's really cool, dude. Yeah. Fly boy.
Well,
so you captain.
Okay. So back to the astronaut.
All right, the astronaut. Okay. One thing I did when I was in Mexico, I spent some time in Mexico City, going to all the museums and stuff like that to see what their heritage is. And the main park in the largest city in the world, Mexico City, and this huge park in the middle of it, and all of the statues, all of the symbolism was Greek. And so I said, okay, so we know the Greeks was here. And then there was a guy did a lot of research on that. I forget what it was called anyway, talking about the Greek civilization. So I started researching how long the Greeks had been in Mexico. And they had literally been in Mexico in huge populations from the 1500s. So Greeks have been in Mexico a long, long time and has had significant influence. So I look at the Nazca Astronaut, and I see, now I'm a big Hermes Trismegistus fan, okay? Mm-hmm. And I see this thing standing on the side of the mountain. It's got the same exact pose as Hermes Trismegistus. He's got his right hand up in the air, holding the armillary. He's got his left hand pointing at the ground, exactly like her. His feet are even turned the same direction. I said, what if, okay, I don't know the composite of the mountains there. They might be sandstone. Somebody climbed up there and carved that on the side of the mountain. It has to be soft enough that people can cling for their life on that steep grade and chisel that out to make that. I said, but Hermes had this big cloak, this big hood on, and this big drape over him. So we see it and we look at it as it's eroded it away. It's easy to say it looks like a space helmet. So it's easy to say he's spaceman. But I looked at that area as close as I could without actually going and climbing down the mountain. But if you look at the astronaut's right hand, it goes right to the very ridge, the top of that mountain. And if you look at it, really zoom in, it looks like something has been broken loose out of it. I think that it used to have an armillary on it, and somebody went and broke it off of there. So somebody has that armillary off of that. You look at it yourself. You've been there. When you fly by, maybe you get some close pictures of it.
I've got pictures of it. I literally
already. So good.
Well, I have 2,000, 3,000 pictures of Nazca.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So,
you got, man.
Each time that I'm there, I unload.
So
I've got so much video. I'm going to show you another image that is kind of what we're talking about. And I want your opinion on this. This is called the Candelabra, and it's in Paracas, Peru. And so the first image I'm going to show you, this is when you approach it by boat, and that's it off in the background, and it's painted on the carved in the side of
Okay.
the sandstone hill. And the reason why I thought of
So
it
it
is
is
because
sandstone. Okay.
you just
Yeah, yeah.
mentioned sandstone.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there it is there. And then we pull up closer to the boat and I zoom in. But this thing is giant. They don't know who carved it or how old it is, but it is huge.
Oh,
All
yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah. I've seen images of that.
Yeah. And so when you see this up close, when you're cruising by, that's the ocean right here. That's the
Right.
Pacific Ocean. And that's how big it is. It
Yeah.
is huge. I don't
Phenomenal.
know, quarter mile tall, I don't know, 800 yards wide. I have no idea. But carved in sandstone, it's filled in, with loose sand over the years.
Sure.
But there it is. And they have no idea how old it is. There's been a few guesses thrown on it, but nobody knows. Now, here's the thing, though. It's marking something. I don't know what, but
Yeah.
it is marking something from the sky.
Okay.
All right. So, you know what I mean? So, above, you look down and you see this because it's flat. It's not
Right.
pointed up for like passing ships. And it was carved before there were ships. You know what I mean? So,
Sure.
and all of that. But here's the other interesting part about this. And isn't it beautiful? It's
Yeah.
obviously what it appears to be. It's a candelabra, but this is where the Paracas elongated skulls come from.
Okay.
All
I'm
right,
big
this is
into elongated skulls too.
Yeah, this is Paracas. This is Paracas.
Okay.
So the skulls come from the other side of this hill, from the high
Oh,
desert.
okay. Yeah, yeah.
But there it is, the
Interesting.
candelabra, man. Look at that. Isn't that
I do a
incredible?
lot of research for a decade. I've been doing research on fulgurites. Do you know what fulgurites are?
I tell us.
The fulgurite is literally a petrified lightning bolt.
Oh,
If
yeah,
you-
yeah, yeah. I have one.
Oh, good. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I
I've got
was.
one about this big.
That's a nice one. I got some big ones on Atlantis and Ibiza off the side of a mountain there. They're about this size, and they're hollow. But I was involved in a beach reclamation project where a harbor was dredged and all of the stuff was pumped up in these huge pipes on the beach, and they literally made the beach 10 feet taller from this beach reclamation project. And I went out there walking on the beach every day. I live on a boat. I'm a boat guy, and I just go over there and walk on the beach every day. And I noticed that they were pumping up I would find these fragments that was coming out of this pipe as they were dredging this harbor out.
Mm-hmm.
And I got looking at them. Some of them were hollow tubes. I said, what the hell have I found here? Have I found some kind of an extinct volcano vent?
Right.
That's
And
all I
then-
could think about. I actually contacted the Virginia Marine Institute, sent them some pictures of it, and told them I'd done found this, and they just blew me off, you crazy old man, and never looked at. But over 10 years, I collected probably 350, 400 fragments of this, and I put it together, and I'll send you a picture of it, what I did with the art with it, but it literally looks like lightning. When I put all the fragments together, kind of pieced them together, how they might have gone from underneath. This is under the water now, all this came from. And some of them are solid, some of them are like this. But what I had that I discovered in this same batch was a rubber gasket. Okay, it's a rubber gasket. Even had the serial number on the rubber gasket that the fulgurite had melted around the rubber without melting the rubber. So I'm looking at this when I discover it, and it took me forever to figure out they were fulgurites. But a fulgurite is a ground lightning bolt that comes out of the ground, and people don't realize. Like I said, I'm probably an expert on lightning on the whole planet because I've done so many. I did over 250 forensics lightning investigations, and I learned a lot about lightning. And no two strikes are alike, but they do have a similarity. And what I learned with lightning, when you see that lightning bolt, you hear it, you can feel it. That bolt of lightning came from the ground. Okay, it's called a ground leader, and people don't realize this. And we will see more of this because getting off on it's like I say, I've hooked this whole system to where it's cosmically energized. The Earth's core is the size of the moon. It's 85% iron and 10% nickel. And the thing about it drove me crazy for a while is it rotates the opposite direction of the Earth, and it's 10,000 degrees, which is the surface of the Earth, of the sun. So why is the core of the Earth rotating backwards? And it's the temperature of the sun inside our planet. It's not getting its energy from the sun. If it was, we'd be crispy critters. If you go to the Sumerian texts and read what they discovered, they said the Earth was a black cinder when they came to it. So that means they had to make maybe the ionosphere.
Why does our core rotate opposite?
Well, I figured it out to be if you get into I believe we have a binary solar system. We have two suns. We have our sun and Sirius. Okay? So Sirius is a negative energy. So it's having that polarity. And if you look at the Vesica Pisces, you go into the Eastern Indian Vedic science, and they have what they call the Great Year, which is the Vesica Pisces, and it is the relationship between the orbit of Sirius and the orbit of our sun. Okay? And that's what they got this phallus of Osiris in, is the Great Year in the Vesica Pisces, in the middle of it in Washington, D.C. But the Great Year is a cycle of 24,000 years. Okay? The Vedic system actually, up until about 100 years ago, said it was 26,000. But I'm a yogi. One of my yogi lineage guys, Yukteswar, 100 years ago, found a mathematical error and changed it to 24,000 years. And Walter Cruttenden, who owns the Binary Institute out there in California, your way, I did his conference that he did out in Palm Springs, I think 2 years ago, 23. But anyway, he's used modern computer equipment and testing and updated science, and he pretty much had confirmed that it is 24,000.
Yeah, so it's part of the main focus of his research. Walter's brilliant.
The mathematics, and Walter's lost you. I lost you. Got a blip. But anyway,
I said Walter's brilliant.
What I think happened with the Mayans, the calendar ended December 21st, 2012. Everybody said, oh, the world's coming to an end because the Mayans didn't predict any further than this. You got to realize this date was long after the Mayans were gone, that they only chose this distance. And if you look at the relationship of 24,000 years, the whole time we've been on this planet, Sirius and the sun have been moving further away from each other. Okay, I believe the Mayans, I'm really impressed with the Mayans. They were great astronomers. You know, they find mercury in the bottom of the pyramids, say it was a river of it. They used mercury to make lenses so they could see the stars better. That's an old technique used in binoculars and microscopes and all. They put mercury on the glass, and there's lots of glass in mercury, and both of those in Mexico. And so they were great astronomers. I believe they predicted, because they had 5 calendars, just exactly like the Egyptians, which is odd. They say one was Egyptians came first, and then for 3,000 years, and then here came the Mayans. I disagree. I think they were all on the planet at the same time. I believe these systems were operating and functional together, all of them. Anyway, so
well, let me. Yeah, that's okay. I wanted to go back and ask you about the Papyrus of Ani.
Okay, all right.
You said that it would rewrite history. How much of it have you translated yourself?
Well, I've translated all of it myself.
Okay.
And what I figured, it's Papyrus of Ani, Plate 2. I actually went to the British Museum and requested to see this papyrus, since I'd changed the translation on it. If you go in the British Museum, the Papyrus of Ani is lots of information, and they have pretty much a lot of the Papyrus of Ani. Like when you're walking up the stairway, you're looking at plates of the Papyrus of Ani. But the one that's missing is plate number 2. And this is a really prized possession of the Brits, and they've got under lock. But even when I went and asked if I could see it, the people didn't even know what I was talking about. But anyway, moving on. So I started looking at the Papyrus of Ani, plate number 2, and it's called Sunrise. Okay, what's big in Egypt? What do they have? Still have festivals over? Is the helical rise of Sirius. Here we go now. Talk about Sirius, our other star, our other sun. Okay, so helical rise of Sirius, which occurred in the period of from summer solstice to the Lion's Gate portal, let's say 8/8 Lion's Gate, okay, August. And anyway, so here we're dealing with Sirius again. And if you go and look at the Dogon tribe, which is an ancient tribe in Africa, they actually knew about Sirius B, second planet around Sirius, before we ever had telescopes to even be able to look and prove that they were correct. And the information passed down from them as they got them from people. The information came from somebody from space. So apparently some alien maybe. But anyway, so getting back to the cycle again, the whole Sirius
plate
cycle.
Plate two.
Yeah. Well, that's part of it. So I combined all this information together. I'm looking at Osiris's tomb. I'm looking at the Papyrus of Ani. And it looked like, because I've been doing all this design work on Osiris's tomb, it looked like the 2 queens are sitting in Osiris's tomb. If you look at the parameter of the structure they're setting in and set it up to the 3rd level of Osiris's tomb, it's really coincidental that it's got that shape and design to it. And you've got the 2 female queens. They've got their hands up like this. Then you got 3 monkeys on each side doing the same thing. And they're holding their hands like this. I said, so if they're doing Reiki, if they're trying to send energy, is this symbolic? What is it? Why is every living creature in that symbolic representation doing this? And I said, it's all about energy. They're telling us that there's energy. They've named it sunrise. Sun's big energy. So I said, okay, I'm going to really detail this. And what I learned, to bounce around a little bit because it's a multiple, and I'll come back. But that temple I told you about in front of the Sphinx, okay, the alignment of that temple is 63 degrees. Guess what? Summer solstice. The sun's at Tropic of Cancer. Guess what the angle of the sun is? 63 degrees. This is where Jerusalem is, 63 degrees. I call it the Jerusalem line. You can draw a line all the way from Jerusalem straight to the Sphinx. It'll go right through that temple and hit the Sphinx right in the chest at 63 degrees on summer solstice. Isn't that coincidental? You think that's why the Israel wants Jerusalem to be on that line? It's their relationship to their Egyptian heritage. Very interesting.
Could be. It could be. Well, if that's the case, see, this is the way I look at it. All right, I don't look at it that way.
Okay,
I'm not debating you at all.
Okay, no, different.
Just hear me out. Just hear me out. The Egyptians, as we know them today, inherited this shit.
You're right.
It was already there.
You're correct.
Göbekli Tepe is not Turkish.
No.
It's not. Turkey inherited Göbekli Tepe. It's not Turkish. Turkey is 600 years old. Okay, it's a modern.
That's right. Ottomans.
Right, way before all of that, it was the Armenian highlands. To 8,000 years ago, and before that, it was something else. Okay. And so, the same things with the Egyptians. So that is the question is who and why. And, those I don't have those answers.
Yeah,
but I just think that with the evidence that has been on the table in front of me and what I have seen personally, they were already there.
They were already there. Absolutely.
Yeah. So Absolutely. Who constructed it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Would there be if there is a line that's 63 degrees from Jerusalem to the chest of the Great Sphinx, which I find completely fascinating, by the way, how would that have gotten done back then without a knowledge of longitude, latitude, circumference of the earth, probably doing it from altitude and doing all of this stuff? And you would have to have a very, very firm grasp of geometry, algorithm, calculus. Yeah, all of those things.
It's amazing the amount of information. Genius. It took genius to construct these systems and make them fun. The greatest thing about all of these systems I've learned is they are environmentally friendly. They use natural energies and combine them together in an ingenious method to do something for the humans on this planet. I consider this as the greatest system. The Osiris's tomb has to be the greatest discovery on the earth.
Well, what about those recent? What about the recent SARS scans of Giza? What do you make of that?
Okay, we're talking karst system here. Okay, we're talking limestone that's been flooded with water for thousands and thousands of years. Plus, we're talking about bringing a heated plasma into the ground and heating it up with scalar energy. It came straight from our own ionosphere. We got all kinds of things that could be created. I believe that the SARS technology, I've been following this for about 10 years with that satellite archaeology, because the United Nations, International Money Fund, Bank of International Settlements, all these people have a task force for a long time now. They've been using this satellite archaeology to basically go around to every country and find out what this country's value is, if they've got gold or silver or petroleum products. And they've pretty much analyzed, and this whole great financial system resets based on all the discoveries they've had. So, but anyway, not to get on that tangent. So I've been following this for a while. And what I learned from this technology is a great tool, great tool. We haven't determined exactly what they're seeing with it. I know that the actual beam from the satellite antenna, it's like 375 miles up in the sky. But if you look up the specs on how far it penetrates the Earth, it's not very deep. And those guys will tell you themselves that the technology that they've got, it's limited to what it can penetrate. But what they do, they use another system in combination with it that measures, it's like a LiDAR system is what it is, where they send sound into the Earth and they bounce it back. You know, sonar on a submarine, same thing going on. So they're using that system to just penetrate the Earth, to try and use the other system to pick up the energy bounce back. So
yeah, they've written their own software program
that's
to
right.
do the interpolation of the
I
two
think
systems
they've
combining
got
together.
some right, but what are they basing their interpretations on? I think most of their drawings are an artist rendering of what they think they found under there. But the sad part about it, one, I'd like to work with these guys. I've contacted them and communicated with them. I'm going to be on the stage with them in Chicago in another 2 weeks. So I'll get to meet them personally and sit down and chat with them. But what I'd love to do is to set up a controlled experiment using this technology to where we go into places that we can measure. I believe what they're picking up more than anything is the gamma radiation. It's like a plasma imprint. You know, if you're penetrating the Earth and my guesstimation is 2 cycles that added up to 29,100 years of operation, that you've been pouring plasma out of the ionosphere down in here that's going into a karst system that loves plasma. It's like a sponge. It loves it. It just sucks it into it. Okay? So it's going to make it fly through there. I think you're going to get all kinds of energy imprints in that karst limestone system. Plus, you've got water draining for millions of years through there. So it's going to drain where it erodes out, and we're talking gravity pulling it down all the time. So do I think that they found an ancient structure? I'll believe it when Egypt says, yes, you can go dig and bring me pieces up and show me you're correct. They're never going to get that. I have my wave guides that I use to check the electromagnetic fields with. I've been using for years. They wouldn't even let me take those on the Giza plateau to do my energy experiments with. They said, oh, no, you can't take those in there. We got to confiscate them. I said, well, I don't want to get. I said, I just won't go. I won't go to the Giza plateau.
How big are they? How big are they?
Hold on.
Well, no, we're at the end of we're at the end of the show.
Oh, sorry. All right.
Yeah,
they're handheld. You see the pharaohs standing in that pose, and they're holding these rods in their hands. Well, I've been experimenting with them for over a decade, all over the world.
You can take those on the Giza plateau.
They wouldn't let me. Anyway, so after we go,
let you?
the where you go into the Giza plateau, where you pay your admittance. Oh yeah, they wouldn't let me take it in. I was told they called security. No, you can't take us in. I'm like,
you need to be running around with somebody like me.
All right, buddy. We'll go there together. It'll be all right with me.
I'm being serious. I do whatever you want on the Giza plateau.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, but it was fun. What funny thing about it was, when I went back to pick them up, I went back to the same person, and they said, "Well, don't you want to give us a nice tip for taking good care?" I said, "Not today."
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, you could do whatever. You could do bong rips at the paws of the Great
Really?
Sphinx if you wanted to.
Oh,
There
wow.
isn't anybody around to, and most of the security that is there, I mean, my personal security and the guys that are running around with me, with the machine guns and all
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I mean, they're paid by me.
Yeah,
Those guys
yeah,
are
you're
there.
right.
They're,
You're right.
so you can do whatever you want. A pack of cigarettes will get you. You can climb the
Yeah,
Great Pyramid
yeah.
for a carton of cigarettes if they're American. A carton of
That's right.
American spirits, you can do whatever you
A
want on the
carton of
Great.
Mary. Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah. We
but
we spent 9
I'm
weeks
being
in Egypt.
facetious. I don't want to. I love the people of Egypt, and I'm not in any way. What I'm trying to say is a pack of cigarettes will get you anything in Egypt. What I'm trying to say is that I think by and large they want tourism. That's the first thing because that's their economy. Egypt doesn't
Sure,
export;
sure.
they
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
export anything, but they allow a certain amount of freedom. They don't want tourists to feel strapped or confined or anything. And if you're around the right people at the right time, you can go and
Yeah,
explore
yeah,
and
yeah,
do your
yeah. You
thing.
got the
So
connections there. See, I never had to connect. I just showed up. I
mm,
was not in a tour. I was just an individual that wanted to carry these strange looking devices on the
I
gate.
have no idea. You're talking about buying tickets for that. I no, I've only
Oh,
arrived at the
okay. Yeah,
Giza
yeah, yeah.
plateau by bus, privately at the front of the Great Pyramid or the Sphinx, and walked in and had the run of the place. There were no tourists
Right.
there. So,
Okay. Awesome.
so if you had that stuff with you, you know what happened to me though once? This was a few years ago. So I come out of the Great Pyramid. I'm by myself, alone, okay, on the Giza plateau. And nobody's there. And I'm walking in front of the Great Pyramid. It was beautiful. I'm out there with the dogs. It's just me and the dogs. Those Giza
Yeah, there's a lot
plateau
of
dogs.
dogs out there.
They're wonderful. The dogs are so cool. Anyway, so I'm walking and I decide I'm gonna walk around to the back of the Great Pyramid. I'm shooting a long video, and I'm shooting the video, and I'm talking, and I'm walking, and I go around the corner, and I get to the edge, and I turn left. I'm alone. There's nobody there. It's 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night, and I turn the corner, and my security guy, his name is Eid, yells at me, "Hey!" I stopped. Get your ass back here. I go, I'm walking. No, 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 not alone. You're not doing it alone. So, but I had the freedom to walk. I could have climbed it. I could have climbed it.
Okay.
I could have
All
gone.
right. Awesome.
Yeah. And so that's how you want to do that. And if you had those with you, you
Yeah.
could do whatever you want. You can go down to the Sphinx and you could do it, there's nobody
Yeah, that
there.
was my plan to walk around, see what the energy felt like. But like I say, I'm real sensitive to energy. And I use those as antenna that really boost up the amplitude, so to speak. And I've got
You,
another
you,
book coming out on that.
when's it coming out?
Oh, it's probably gonna be next year.
All
I've
right.
been researching it for 10 years. I've got a number of manuscripts. I've got a dozen more manuscripts to get in circulation. Been
There
doing
was
this.
what
Go
I was
ahead.
going to say as we're winding down here. We've got about 10 seconds left, but
Oh,
it's
okay.
really strange how much energy is in and around the Sphinx. There's a very
Yes.
spiritual thing that happens there. I don't
Mhm.
get a spiritual vibe inside of the Great Pyramid. I don't want to blow anybody else's mellow on that. If you
Right.
get something out of it, that's fine. I don't. But the Sphinx, that's powerful, man.
Mhm.
That is powerful. When you walk down there, and walk around. It's majestic.
Yeah, it is.
It's
It's
so
an
fun.
awesome place. It really is. It's mind-boggling and just the massiveness of it.
Yeah, so much more to discover. And Trevor Grossi's doing really great work there. And I know you know Trevor, and you'll see him.
Yeah, Bill Brown.
Yeah, Bill Brown's amazing. Bill
Yeah,
Brown's
yeah. I've been to his house. It was tore down. I took my guides there. He wanted me to come out and measure, see what kind of energy I felt. And I told him what I felt and what was underneath at a couple of locations there. He says, Leo, he said, you nailed it. Nailed exactly. Yeah. So
those guys are doing great work. Have a good time up there in Chicago, Leo.
All right. Thanks, man.
And I look forward to our next conversation here on the show, but I just had a fantastic time tonight.
Awesome. Me too. So thanks for having me, pal. Yeah. Peace to you, man. Hamsa. Yeah.
All the best, Hamsa.
That's
the best.
Right.
Thank you so much, Leo. Enjoy the rest of your day over there in the United Kingdom. Bye.
All right, pal.
Perfect night on the show. And we've got Leo's links below, and you can head over, and his books and everything else in his research are all right there in the description box below. I do want to remind everybody that tomorrow night on the show, Colton Scriver, PhD, is here with us tomorrow night. And we're going to talk about why do we, especially me, crave the creepy. You know we do. And that's what we're talking about tomorrow night on the show. Until then, all I've got is go Beckley Tappy. Fade to Black is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee Newman, and Michelle Freed. Special thanks to Bill, John, Dex, Jessica, Dennis, and Kevin. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music by Doug Aldrich. Intro, Space Boy. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2024 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network, Inc. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Go Beckley Tappy.